No joke, I'm literally speechless right now. This chapter has definitely gone past everyone's expectations. Like, there is no way we would have guessed this. I honestly still don't know what's going on. I've been talking in my Discord with a bunch of people, just trying to figure out what was going on with the spoilers, and like, we didn't have the dialogue obviously, but just going from the pictures, like what's going on, what's happening. Reading this chapter, I am so confused. I love everything that's happening because the story really, like, I know you're sick of hearing this, but the story is really shaping into a part 3. This is very similar to the ending of Tokyo Ghoul. Now, this would be perfect to end Tokyo Ghoul Re and then start with part 3, right? We have just changed the story once again, kind of. For the most part, we've kind of created a character that's, I don't know who it is, like, and you'll know what I mean when I talk about it. For the most part, we start off this chapter with revealing Kaneki, bringing him out of Dragon, but it doesn't go easy. Like, it doesn't go all to plan. Toka, Yuri, Seiko, Matsuki, they're all sitting here and they're like trying to look at Kaneki, and the dude is bummed. Like, I don't know what has happened, but remember when people thought Dragon was going to be the savior for Kaneki? Definitely not. My dude has not healed. It actually looks like he's gotten worse. He looks like a mummy. He looks mummified, which kind of remind me of Nora's face when he was mummified. Very peculiar connection there. For the most part, seeing Kaneki in this state, you know, his legs and his arms are not healed, just stumped me. I'm like, you know, what's happening? It honestly looks like he's been drained. And going throughout the chapter, he seems like a very vital piece to the Dragon structure for a very peculiar reason, and it's towards the ending of the chapter, which I'll get onto in a sec. The reason why I think he's a peculiar piece is the reasoning why Dragon was actually keeping Kaneki safe. I honestly think Kaneki has been the host this entire time. He has not been Dragon, he has just been the foundation for Dragon to be built. Like, Dragon is not controlled by Kaneki. It's more so Dragon, or the RC cells for Dragon, is using Kaneki as a host and actually draining everything away from Kaneki and putting it into another body. This can be backed up by the idea that every single eye pocket, eye socket, whatever that we have seen has had different variations of bodies inside of them. That was very peculiar. I always wonder why there were these blank bodies that were just randomly created in these eye sockets, which, mind you, is the highest concentrated point for RC cells. It was very weird. I don't know how they're being created, but they were. Especially that these things that Dragon was spawning, the 2 different variations of these ghouls slash Kagane sentient beings, whatever, were defending Kaneki. They were fighting off the CCG. They were fighting off Yuri, Seiko, Matsuki, and Toka. Like, they were just coming out of nowhere. And then we had the different white variation that tried to attack Toka as like a final stance, which ultimately got sliced down by the QS squad. I was like, where are these things coming from? How are these things being formed? And ultimately, at this point, they seem like a protection status for Kaneki, but not for the reasons that we were thinking. But that would also assume that Kaneki was subconsciously creating these things to protect himself for no apparent reason. So when Toka tries to rip Kaneki out, all of the, you know, strands around Kaneki, like Dragon, that are wrapped around Kaneki, is trying to pull him back in. They're trying to pull him and force him back in, to the point where Toga can't even lift Kaneki up to that extent, that Yuri has to come in, lift Kaneki up. Seiko and Matsuki are defending against the other tendrils or whatever that are coming down to explode. Mind you, these things are exploding for no apparent reason against Seiko and Matsuki, just obliterating them. Yuri and Toka have to pull Kaneki up, still attached to Dragon, and Yuri has to cut him out completely, like fully cut him out. At that point, they wrap him up. Kind of looks like he's dead, because this is what everyone was freaking out about. Like, they think that Kaneki's dead. And for the most part, it's very ominous. Like, it doesn't actually say if he's dead, but there's no reaction for it. I honestly don't know. Like, looking at the chapter, you know, when you see Yuri carrying this body that's wrapped, it looks very similar to Rouge A, with Kaneki carrying, you know, a certain character. No spoilers. It's very similar to that, right? But it does not actually prove that Kaneki is dead and gone. It does not prove that he has succumbed to Dragon. It would make sense, but this is not confirmation by any degree. I feel like there would have been a lot more emphasis on Toka's reaction, per se, even though she did look very distraught. I don't think she would specifically know that Kaneki was dead. Of course, he's not moving. He's got no fucking arms and legs at this point. He's starved, he's dehydrated, he's everything in between. Like, he looks mummified to this point. Like, there's no way he's going to be moving around anytime soon, so I don't know. I don't think he's dead, but at the same time I do. I honestly don't have a clue. They kind of played it off like he was, but at the same time, you never actually know. Where the importance of this chapter lies, however, is actually the meaning of Dragon. What is Dragon? What is this thing that we are facing? The ending of this chapter was absolutely insane. There is a character that has been born from Dragon, I assume. We see Furuta, we see the V organization walking up to this egg, very similar to Berserk, like just had this very massive Berserk feel to it, right? This massive egg incubation chamber, I don't know what you'd want to call it, that is kind of protruding outside of Dragon, and inside it is a person, right? And this thing explodes, opens and out pops this kind of half-built RIZE. And this is emphasized by Furuta saying, "Hello RIZE, my precious dragon." I don't know what this is. Furuta and the V organization have once again just stumped us all. How is this possible? Why is RIZE here to begin with? Is the conversation that Kaneki had with RIZE in the previous chapters actually her and not in Kaneki's mentality? What's happening? There is a lot of things running through my head right now for this chapter, because this chapter was absolutely phenomenal, just gone in a completely different direction and has really opened up the story for part 3. RIZE has returned, but looking at her panels specifically, looking at this character that has just been birthed from Dragon, it actually may be a mix between RIZE and Kaneki. When you think of Dragon using a host, right? So I'm thinking of Kaneki being a host for RIZE's RC cells, ultimately gets turned into Dragon, and then everything from Kaneki is being drained, is being pulled into this certain incubation egg and is being formed back into RIZE. I don't know how. This is like the only thing I can't really explain is how it's actually traveling down this line and actually creating RIZE once again. And then she's bursted out of the shell, right? But I've noticed, and it may be too early because she's not fully finished forming her own body, because she's still kind of half inside of Dragon, that she has no boobs. And you're probably wondering, like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, this actually may be the combination between RIZE and Kaneki joining into one person, almost like the opposite of what Kaneki has been this entire time. Like, could you imagine RIZE being back into the story, right? Being reborn, recreated. Furuta has managed to share the life force that he was talking about from one character as a host of Dragon to another character using very, very specific RC cells, RIZE's RC cells, mind you. And RIZE is born once again, but this time Kaneki is the one trapped in her mind. Kaneki is the one trapped inside the head of himself, of RIZE, whatever you want to call it. Is it more RIZE? Is it more Kaneki? Realistically, it should be more RIZE. If this thing has been built from scratch, right? Because there's no other body in Dragon other than Kaneki, realistically, this is RIZE at its purest form. This is the pure creation of RC cells, all thanks to Kaneki being a host, right? This could also mean the nucleus, quote unquote, that supposedly Furuta had and that Dragon ate also made it eligible for the cells to, quote unquote, divide or something like that, make it eligible for Dragon to actually somehow create RIZE again. Now, this doesn't explain everything, right? You know, if this is RIZE and Kaneki joined together and Kaneki's trapped in RIZE's head, how did we get there? Like, how does this actually happen? How did Dragon know to create RIZE specifically? This brings me back to an idea I came up with ages ago that I never really had any connection to. I never really could figure out, you know, an actual connection for this idea. And that is actual, you know, genetic coding or something inside of RC cells. Like, an actual RC cell is filled with, you know, that person's traits and personalities and characteristics that, you know, that's for them, right? Like, no RC cell is the same. That might sound confusing, but I want to back this up by saying Kaneki has taken a lot of different people's traits, right? For example, when Kaneki ate Eto's Kagane, he gained a portion of her traits. When Kaneki ate Jason's Kagane, he also gained a portion of his traits, right? What if that is because the RC cells are specific to that character, specific to that ghoul in itself, right? So if you kind of think like that, Kaneki is not a ghoul. He never has been, right? He was turned into one using RC cells that are not his, using foreign RC cells, if you will. RIZE's RC cells. To even back that up in saying that RC cells are specific to only one ghoul, Furuta goes and creates and clones RIZE's Kakaho and then feeds it back to Kaneki. Now, why would you go and create RIZE's Kakaho just because it's the most powerfulest, or, you know, it's the pure Washu family line, or powerful Kagane RC cells, whatever? Like, why would you go through all that effort to do that? Like, why not take someone else from the Washu family? Why not take someone else with a pure line of RC cells or something like that? No, he had to take RIZE specifically. He takes all of them, puts them into other people, and then goes to Kaneki, feeds him specifically. It just miraculously explodes from there, and he turns into Dragon. I always ask the question, you know, what if Kaneki just ate generally a lot of humans, or just generally a lot of other ghouls that aren't related to RIZE in any way? You know, would he still have turned into Dragon if he munched down on 100 different ghouls that had nothing to do with RIZE's Kakaho? I don't know. But because the Ogai squad had RIZE specific Kakahos that were specifically created to feed Kaneki, they have accelerated his, I don't know, process of cell division and has just spawned Dragon out of thin air, like just from Kaneki's body, using it as a host. Ultimately, Furuta has done this so he can get RIZE back, which leads me full circle back to the genetic RC cells, that RC cells are specific to one character, to one ghoul only. Who is the foreign body currently in Dragon? Who is the only person standing out inside of Dragon right now? It's Kaneki, right? Because his RC cells are not his, they're RIZE's. And what Kaneki has just eaten are an abundance of RC cells that are from RIZE's Kakaho. Pure Washu Kagaja RC cells. Very, very powerful. Drain the RC cells from Kaneki's body, hence why he hasn't healed, hence why he looks mummified and he's skinny and he looks deformed, and have flowed all the way down to Dragon to an incubation egg that RIZE has been built once again just from using her RC cells. Here's the thing, have you ever wondered why the RC cell also looks like a fetus? I thought that was very interesting as well. What if just using the RC cells can actually create life? But it's at a cost of another, give or take, who knows? If this is true by any means, if somehow Furuta has legitimately meant for this to happen, because supposedly this is what he was expecting, he's kind of just figured out to a degree immortality. What's to say he can't do this again in the future? I know it'd be a painstakingly long process once again, similar to Kaneki, you know, creating a host and then doing this all again, but if this RIZE/Kaneki technically has RIZE's memories, she's been reborn. She has been specifically reborn from her own RC cells, and they've remembered everything. Like, is that possible for the RC cells to actually remember everything? I don't know how that works. I don't know if she gains Kaneki's memories per se. I don't know, but this is very interesting. This brings up a lot of different questions regarding the immortality, regarding the resurrection of certain characters, regarding the resurrection of RIZE herself. We still have a lot of unanswered questions for RIZE returning. You know, this is a massive surprise to us. I'm very excited, obviously. The problem right now is whether or not, like I said, is Kaneki's dead. If Kaneki is dead, I want to say he's trapped inside of RIZE's mind, and she is the main person controlling the body. For some reason, it's a male body, unless it hasn't fully finished formed yet, but I found it very peculiar that it was a male body. Maybe it's just taking it from Kaneki's human body, I don't know, and somehow, you know, messed up and created a male body, per se. Who knows? But it'd be cool if Kaneki was trapped inside, because then you'd have this back and forth conflict in potentially part 3 with Yuri, Seiko, and Matsuki, and Toka, and the organization that Kaneki has, and the CCG, and Hide, Armon, Suzuya, and everyone else hunting down RIZE/Kaneki to try and get him back. How would they know that Kaneki's there? I'm not sure. Maybe they'd go up against RIZE once and then realize that she fights the same as Kaneki, or she has the same Kagane, or something else. You know, something that Kaneki does, like a trait, per se. Maybe Kaneki remembers something and tries to control RIZE from the inside, per se. I thought about this, right? Like, you have this mental conflict between Kaneki and RIZE, you know, Kaneki trying to escape from RIZE's mind, or his own mind, however you want to depict it. Imagine the only thing that could break RIZE and break Kaneki free from this torture, per se, this mind block, is actually Hide, and the face reveal of Hide, in fact. I think that would be very, very cool. So I thought I'd just put that out there. I'll probably make a separate video talking about that completely, but for the most part, where do we go from here? Once again, I don't know. Why did Furuta create RIZE Kaneki, or just RIZE again? I don't know. Like, what does he gain from this? What does V organization gain from this? Are they trying to create a extremely powerful ghoul? Are they trying to find out immortality or rebirth, sharing life forces? I do not know. The potential for this character that has just been born is extremely high. I think we may evidently see more of these black sentient Kagane things once again, and I think part 3 will showcase a massive war between the CCG and the V organization potentially. It all kind of depends on what happens with Kaneki right now. Is he truly dead? Is he still alive? Is he in a coma? Is he more in RIZE than in his own body? I do not know, but I am very, very excited to find out. This chapter was absolutely phenomenal. With that being said, I want to thank you all for watching, but I'm actually going to end the video off here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.